Hi everyone, my name is Linnea Rines.
And I'm Joseph Bornstein from Kona Wolf in Sweden. So we were asked to tell you a bit about how we won the Young Lions competition this summer. And we are so sorry that we couldn't be with you live today. But as you are watching this, we're launching one of the biggest campaigns yet in our careers. So you could understand that we needed to stay in Sweden. However, we are really thrilled to have so many of you interested in competing or encouraging your young talents to compete. And we'd love to share a few tips and tricks with you. In Young Lions, you don't compete with a real completed campaign. Instead, you get a brief from an NGO at site, and then you have 2 days to come up with a campaign. And this year, we got the brief from Greenpeace, and they required a PR campaign that would raise awareness of the environmental impact of meat eating and motivate the consumers to change their consumption habits. And the Greenpeace wanted us to focus on the Western world and especially target the low-has, and that is those who live a lifestyle of health and sustainability. And during the briefing session, Linnea knocked on my shoulder and whispered, "I think I got an idea." She snatched my notebook and out of my hands and started to write intensely. After the briefing session, we walked slowly back and forth along the croisette and discussed the idea. It felt right, but we couldn't help asking ourselves, wait, what are we doing? We can't go with the first idea that popped into our heads. Let's think about other possible angles to this. But I guess that sometimes it's just better to go with your gut feeling. We did this time, and when we got back to our apartment that night, we had the whole idea mapped out in our heads.
The next day, we sat in a cramped and hot room together with all the other teams to work out our ideas into a 10-slide PowerPoint. You see, in the Young Lions, you don't get to use your own equipment. You get to borrow like a stationary computer. And all the other teams were freaking out about not having Photoshop. But Joseph and I, well, since none of us are exactly art directors, we were happy to have paint to work with. With 4 hours left to go, I was about to give up. My back was sore, my brain was hurting from all of the thinking, and I literally stood up and tried to walk away. But Joseph somehow managed to convince me to stay and make the final changes. And I'm pretty glad I did, because I think those final adjustments was what gave us the victory. The day after, we got 5 minutes to present our campaign to the Cannes Lions jury, and this is what we showed them. Greenpeace provided us with a long brief and a few different objectives, but we decided to narrow down the campaign goal to changing a behavior and promote less meat consumption.
While Greenpeace is great at raising environmental issues to public knowledge, they sometimes lack in presenting an alternative solution. And consequently, Greenpeace can occasionally be perceived as angry and militant activists, guilt-tripping the general public. But when it comes to changing a behavior, such as lessening meat consumption, we really needed a more problem-solving rhetoric.
The target group is well educated, and they do like to think of themselves as enlightened. They are aware of most environmental issues, but they just don't think that their individual actions can actually make a change. However, many have started to rethink individual habits and behaviors in other areas in order to ensure their own and their children's well-being. For example, drinking less alcohol and cutting down on tobacco, limiting their kids' sugar intake. These two insights tell us that we need to trigger both intellect and emotions to make them change their behavior and eat less meat.
So, our strategy was therefore to manifest, both intellectually and emotionally, that lessening meat consumption is one of few actions to be made on an individual level that will make a great impact on the global environment, while providing inspiration to choose vegetarian alternatives.
So, we thought, why not create the Greenpeace Vegetable Zoo? It's a city-centered pop-up zoo that houses the most common livestock, built entirely out of vegetables.
From birth to burger, a cow is the cause of over 10 times more CO2 emission than the same weight of vegetables. And to manifest this, the zoo will display animal-shaped vegetable sculptures, scaled to show how much vegetables you get for the same CO2 emission as one animal. And the cow sculpture, for example, will be 10 times bigger than a real cow. In connection to the zoo, food trucks will be serving simple and delicious vegetarian food. And the recipes will be written on the napkins, and visitors are encouraged to take a clean one home for inspiration. And we will of course invite devoted Greenpeace supporters to work as park guides, giving tours and answering questions.
To ensure traditional media coverage, media will be invited to a press opening. The invitation will probably attract some attention since there is a very interesting contradiction that Greenpeace is opening up a zoo. We will also invite important influencers with large channels focusing on popular lifestyle bloggers who are passionate about their vegetarian or vegan diets. To get social media buzz, we will take pictures of the vegetable animals next to the real animals to share in Greenpeace's own social media channels with the potential of going viral. The target group is very active on social media, often sharing photos of their life and their kids. The Instagram and Facebook potential of their kids in front of the vegetable sculptures is massive. Through the Greenpeace newsletters, we can encourage supporters to share images and information in their own social media channels.
And in the best of worlds, we like to see the vegetable zoo being carried out simultaneously in several Western countries, really putting meat consumption on the public agenda. But we believe that the campaign is so communicative in itself that it can be limited to one location in case of budget limitations. And the process of building the vegetable zoo has the potential of becoming a great case video that can go viral, involving and interviewing the farmers who provided the vegetables, Greenpeace supporters who built the sculptures, visitors at the zoo, etc. And finally, the target group can be extended to politicians, school leaders, etc. to really amplify the message of the campaign.
So, why will this work? Well, the campaign manifests the advantages of choosing vegetables instead of meat, both in an intellectual and an emotional way. How? Well, the sculpture symbolically shows how eating less meat is an individual act that has great effect on the environment. Manifesting the message in a zoo setting, which is closely connected to children, creates a strong emotional incentive to change one's behavior here and now for future generations. The campaign is solution-driven, both triggering a change in behavior and changing the perception that Greenpeace solely are angry and militant. And as a bonus, the campaign provides parents with an opportunity to educate their children about their food's impact on the environment.
So, this was the campaign that got us here, on the stage in Cannes, in front of thousands of the best PR people in the world, accepting our Young Lions medal. It's been quite a journey, and we have learned so much along the way, about ourselves, about PR, and about never ever giving up. So, we were asked to share a few tips with you on what to keep in mind when competing in Young Lions. Here we go.
First of all, look for the big idea. The jury will be looking for a bold and creative idea, never mind if all the details are in place.
Go big or go home. Opposite to our everyday work, you don't need to worry about the clients when it comes to Young Lions. In Young Lions, it's all about the big idea, not what the client wants.
Make sure to get some sleep. The first year we were in Cannes, we were up all night trying to force out ideas. Big mistake. This year, we made sure to get enough sleep, which left our brains fresh and alert.
And make sure to answer to the brief. Let's be frankly, sometimes you're left with crappy briefs, but you should answer to them anyways, or really be super clear on why you chose to interpret it differently.
And finally, enjoy yourselves. You will be competing against PR people from literally all over the world. It's a rare chance. Make sure to enjoy yourself. All right, so we really hope that these tips and tricks will help you along the way. They did work for us. And thank you so much for listening, and good luck with the competition. I hope to see you in Cannes this year, or next year, I mean.
Good luck.